Let's begin working on your lab. So what you're going to do, as I mentioned earlier, is you're just going to work from what you created last week. So last week is your starting point for this week. So just go ahead and open it up. So here's the folder. I'm just going to open that up. So there's two folders because the one got nested inside the other one because I actually unzipped it from a previous one. So you'll probably only have just the one folder. And then inside of it, you should have this. Now, if I double click on this, you will see what I made last time. Yours will look like what you made last time. I'm going to go ahead and leave that there, and then that way I can come back to it when I need it. But I'm just going to right click on it and just open with, and then I'm going to choose Visual Studio Code. Okay. You can also just open up Visual Studio Code, and you will probably see it if you just go like File and then Open Recent. You should see right here. You should see it somewhere up there. Okay, so your list will probably be a lot shorter. It'll probably be one thing unless you've been writing other things inside of Visual Studio Code. All right, so now what I want to do is I just want to put our groups in. And to do that, what I want to do is let's just look to see what we have. So I'm picturing that this will be one section. So like cone, and then in the beginning as one section, and then presently coding the document as a section, then his future, and then this will be the last section. Okay, so I'm picturing being just a couple of sections here. Okay, I'm also thinking that it would make sense that we have the top here as one piece, and then the bottom here as another piece. So I'm going to put divs inside of divs. All right. So let's go ahead and we are going to go in here and let's just first make each of these like separate sections. So after body here and before the H1, I'm enter a new line. And I'm just going to type in div, and it's going to automatically make me a closing div. And then that's going to happen right here, right? So this is these are the first. There's three elements here, so I'm just going to go ahead and enter. I'm going to click and drag over this and just middle mouse button and drag that down. If you don't want to do it that way, you can also do this. You can just delete the one up there and then watch. As I do this and I hit the / it's going to automatically complete it because it's going to know that it needs a closing tag. Okay. The other thing I'm going to do just for visual purposes because it helps is I'm going to tab. Click on this one, tab, click on this one, tab. That way I can tell that these are nested inside of this div. And I'm just going to go down and do the next section as well. So we'll do div. I'm just going to go like this. I'm going to hit Control X to cut that one. Just to show you multiple ways of doing it. I'm going to tab in. And then instead of this break, we're going to get rid of those because we're going to use CSS to do this now. Generally speaking, you do not want to use breaks. Okay, so we're just going to go ahead and get rid of that. And I'm going to hit Control V or Command V because I hit Control X, which is cut, or Command X. Now let's just do the next part here. We'll do another div. And I'm just going to go ahead and Control X for cut. And I'm going to tab. And I'm just going to delete that and then hit Control V. All right, so now you can see we have each section. Now, let's do one more here for these. And then I'm just going to tab, and I'm going to get rid of this one. I'm going to highlight this, middle mouse button, and drag it down. Okay. So we now have those sections there. And now I wanted to do one for down here as well. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to do another div. Boom. And then we're going to take this. I'm just going to Control X to cut that one. And then I need to grab all of these and tab them in. So I'm just going to click on this H3, drag all the way down to table, and I'm just going to hit tab, click off, hit enter, and then I'm going to hit Control V. You'll notice that even though I was here, it actually shifted it forward so that it would match this div here. Okay. So looking at that, that looks fine. So now I have a div that basically is wrapping around this whole section of my likes and dislikes on my table of favorite games. And then each one of these sections have a div as well. But I would like this whole area, this whole top part, to also be part of a div. So what we're going to do is we're going to nest the div inside of the div. Okay, so after the head again, I'm going to type in div. Okay, it's going to automatically give me that closing one. I'm just going to delete it this time. And then I need to take all of these other ones and actually push those this way. So I'm going to go from this one, and I'm going to hold Shift to this one. So I grab that whole section. Okay, I'm going to hit Tab to tab it in. then hit enter, and then I'm just going to start writing my closing div, and you can see it didn't shift it in this time. Notice there's this line's a little bit brighter, so I'm just going to go ahead and go like this, and now that one lines up with that one. And if you get confused as to where you are, you can just click on it, and you'll see it'll highlight the corresponding div. So if you don't know what div goes with what, just do that. So I have a larger div, and then I have these sub divs, okay, for each section. Looks good. Okay, so if you save that, Control S, and then go back to here, and then we're going to hit Control R, you'll see that it's a little more compressed because we got rid of those breaks, but it more or less looks the same because we haven't actually applied any CSS. Even though these are now grouped, it doesn't actually do anything visually until we apply things to it. The other thing I want to do was add a couple of spans so that we can just show you those. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a span for upstate New York so that this gets treated as one piece. So it's real easy. You're going to go like this and then span. You can see how I made a closing one. I'm just going to grab upstate New York. I'm going to middle mouse button and drag and put it right there. So now it's between those two. Great. And then I also wanted to put one, what was I putting the other one? I want to put one on none as well. So we're going to go ahead and do span. And then I'm just going to Control X to cut that and Control V. Okay. So I know I'm doing it different every time or most of the times. And that's just to show you there's different ways of doing it. So if you don't want to use it, if you don't have a middle mouse button would be if you have like a wheelie ball, you just click into the wheelie ball. Or if you're on a Mac, it's the little pimple thing on there. And you can just click and shift things around. Okay. So again, I'll save that. We'll see what we have, and it's not going to look any different. Okay, so this just looks like this. But we now do have our sections set up. So hopefully that makes sense. Just double check. Even though it isn't going to change anything visually, make sure that you do preview it because you could have accidentally, like watch, if I take this out, for one, notice that it's red. But if we go here, and I hit Control R, you'll see that it starts being weird. Like you might start to see the code or something, so it'll get weird. Okay, so it still should show if there is an error. Okay, oops. Yeah. All right, so make sure you get all those in, and you can look at the examples in the slide. I should have an example of what the code looks like.